Last panel, how's everybody doing? Yeah! Yourselves a round of applause for being here. Awesome. Hey, thanks everybody. My name is Hunter Weeks. I'm with Everfi from Blacklock. We are a social good tech company. Excited to be here talking to my new friend Dave. Dave, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, Dave Raggio. So I'm the VP of Growth Marketing for QuickBooks and also the founder and executive sponsor of the SMB Media Labs.
Dave also, Auburn graduate.
There you go.
Gotta quickly just get your thoughts. Nick Saban retired this week from Alabama.
That was a win for us, and the second win is that they're looking at Lane Kiffin. So it's been a good week despite that we weren't on the field.
Yeah, nice. Well, Dave and I chatted this week. We're excited to talk about Media Labs today, an awesome project Intuit has going on. Before we get into that, though, I would love to just talk about your background for a second. I know you were in North Face before, eBay, coming from more of the retail, fashion, goods side, now being with Intuit. Talk a little bit about kind of your experience getting here and some of the things you've taken from some of the past positions you've been now with Intuit.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm kind of a byproduct of the agency world. So I've been working on my career agency side, intentionally experiencing a lot of different categories. So Zara with Subway and Tap with Google Fiber. Soon at the time at Digitas, leading the eBay account, and then eventually went over to Fireside. So I did some work for S.C. Johnson, in the method business, and then most recently North Face. I think the fact that I come kind of more from consumer e-commerce retail brands, it gave me a unique perspective about the challenges that like an SMB advertiser is coming into it, thinking that the same playbooks apply, and the quality is very similar. So I'm now straddling both roles, which actually I think is an interesting place to be in because I am the customer as much as I am the one that's also trying to kind of stand up some network for brands and advertisers like myself.
Sure. Any similarities? I mean, obviously those are drastically different brands, right? But what were some things maybe that you took from there that you brought with you to the new position and obviously the Media Labs?
Yeah, absolutely. So like the similarities are, even though we are a quote-unquote B2B advertiser, the buying motion is very much an e-com motion. So you go on to QuickBooks, you select your plan, you build a cart, and you check out. So the actual activities are very similar, and the fact that we are trying to find them when they're maybe not in the business mindset. Like a small business owner, the line between personal life and professional life is very blurred in how that works. So those are the similar differences that a lot of times it comes down to merchandising. It comes down to like kind of the 4 Ps of like how you're structuring it on the digital environment. Again, it's the challenge is like how do you get the right people to even get to that environment.
Right. Yeah. Well, tell us about Media Labs. Tell us about this. This is kind of your project that you've been working on. So give everybody back. What is Media Labs and how did it come about? How did it start?
Yeah, absolutely. So Media Labs is a quote-unquote retail media network that we developed. And as I mentioned, like kind of being naive about the data quality. In fact, the world media is built around the person and not the business that they run. All the data sources that are out there are either deterministic, they are panel-based. Sometimes it's stitching together a lot of disparate data sources, so you get kind of that drop in fidelity as you kind of stitch those things together. That was kind of the big surprise, and it kind of led to some joking internally of, boy, I really wish there was a company like Intuit that I could partner with that has the reach and depth of knowledge of their customer base that I could tap into to help our growth. And that joke eventually turned into a serious conversation that actually is the capital market that was needed. There's no first-party audience source for small business owners. We launched it about 6 months ago, and the reason I say quote-unquote retail media network is because it's not kind of a retail media network in the traditional way. We don't have owned and operated inventory. So that's one of the very unique things. Most retail media networks start with their own and operated. We are starting where a lot of retail media networks are trying to go now, of offsite. So we've got partners such as Meta and exclusive with Vizio for connected TV, Trade Desk, a number of sponsors that we saw, great conversations here at the events about other sort of inventory sources that we'd be able to find. So realistically, we're more of an audience network and a range of service, so we actually try and connect our customers to products and services that would benefit them, and are more of a matchmaker than just a sort of self-serve network.
Yeah, I want to dive into that a little bit because as you were explaining to me, I love the idea of being able to help small businesses, right, and make it easier for them. So talk about a little bit of the benefits, Media Lab's goals and how it's helping small businesses.
Yeah, absolutely. So QuickBooks, we believe and have data to support this as well, that a small business that uses our products is actually more resilient, grows faster. There's a lot of other products and services that also help them as well that we don't provide. But we can play a role in helping connect them with those products and services that can help them as a small business owner. So again, that's where the idea started to come to life of, Intuit is a company that has TurboTax and Credit Karma. Those audiences are not included in this, and that's intentional because A, they're regulated differently, and B, the fact that it's our sort of differentiator of small business data. But because of that, we have a culture of really wanting to make sure that we are protective of our customers' data, we're protective of privacy, and that's really kind of where we are different from other data sources that we have the ability to say no to advertisers that we don't feel like we're for our customers. We are able to never give data to anywhere. So we buy on behalf of the advertisers, we buy through our seats, through our sort of media partners. So the data never leaves us. There's nothing that can happen with data that can't be processed in any other way. That's okay. I keep saying data, but all we actually deal with is audiences with our advertisers. So there's no data beyond the audiences. It's just us buying. But it's certainly loose people.
I know you guys have just been turning down deals all week. Just saying, it's not better for you.
There's that a lot of stuff. But no, I mean, we have had a couple of advertisers that we just didn't feel like were right.
Sure.
And we're okay with that.
I feel like you have to be, purposeful with the advertisers because the wrong advertiser on the platform will bring the credibility of what you're doing.
Exactly. We're really focused on trying to setting an example of where a lot of retail media networks are trying to go, like how do you manage your customers and customer data responsibly when you go off of your own properties because your customers may not expect that. And again, we're trying to do it in a way that sets an example for this is the right way to do it. This is a way that you can do it that is beneficial to your customers and to the advertisers at the same time.
Yeah. So this project you've been working on for 6 months since you've launched. Tell us, what have you learned? What are some surprises that have happened?
Yeah, so we've been live for 6 months. I wish it was that quick to figure it out. It's been about a year and a half, almost 2 years that we've been talking about this and we're getting to see it. I think there's two big learnings that I had. First is when we started this, kind of our list of companies that we thought would be right for kind of wanting to leverage this are traditional insurances, banking solutions, those types of things. What we're finding is there's some CPG brands that are very interested in this, and it unlocks an entirely new way to talk about your brand to entirely new people. So I was with this Johnson method at the time, and I know firsthand that e-com is very difficult for things because you have a $3 bottle of what's mostly water that doesn't ship well, or it's easily so heavy and the costs make you upside down very quickly. So these CPG brands have lines that are extreme concentrates. They have bulk and those types of things that are not right for the home customer, but it makes e-com something that can work for small businesses. So we're getting a lot of those. We're getting beverage manufacturers that's coming to us and saying, we want to be in more corner stores. We want to be the preferred beverage supplier for more restaurants. So that's the kind of big one. The surprise is like the fact that even though you're not a traditional B2B or B2C SMB advertiser, it unlocks different ways to talk about your brand to a different group of people, which has been really exciting. It was. I mean, it came up, which is also like, kind of understand about this differently. And then I think the second one is just I've been on the agency side and I've been client side. The logistics of how you manage the back end of billing and all like the accounting principles and all that, like that's been the worst thing. Intuit is not an advertising brand, and it's not traditionally been a brand that deals in media. So the learning curve for the organization as a whole was a lot steeper. I thought, it's second language to all of us. And say, well, of course CPM values move around. And I was like, what do you mean? If you do something different every time you buy something, I was like, yeah, kind of. So like there's just like a little bit of like that shock that happens and a lot of education that just needed to happen throughout the course of the deal.
Sure. And obviously your background too and where you've been, I mean, you probably have some experience in that, so that was probably good coming from your background, having that now being a new revenue stream, new opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, full transparency, I also didn't know how it worked in the agency. It's just there's someone else that took care of it, so that's why it was a big learning for me. It's like, oh, this is way more complicated in the back end than I thought. Maybe didn't give some of the agency markers enough credit. So
you don't have to know everything. You just have to know the people.
Yeah, paint a certain picture. Try to figure out how to do it.
Tell me what maybe are things you would have done differently. What was anything that you've learned that looking back on, kind of an aha moment over the last 6 months since you've been alive?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, and going that sort of thing, all the mechanics, as I was mentioning, like kind of back and thing, that'd definitely be something that I probably would have loved to have brought in experts earlier that specialize in these types of things and get the right team in place that can answer all those questions. That said, you people don't know what you don't know until it kind of is right in front of you. But if I understood along was able to see that, I think it's like build the right team to build something like this, and then think about all the different cross-functional needs that you would have, and make sure that you have an expert in each one of those places that can actually help. And legal's not a place where a conservative culture, which is great. I actually love that. So one of the best parts of working is like we're just trying to do what's right for our customers, but the world of advertising is really scary. We talk about the fact that we're trying to connect our customers with a brand that's not us. And what is that language in the contracts that makes sure that we're protecting our customers, but we're also not so far outside of like the standard terms, or kind of just you want to do things differently, but you want to do so differently that it makes you an outlier and difficult to work with. And that's like kind of the thing that going into this, like how we do that would have been definitely beneficial.
How much going into it was data driven that you thought these are going to be our outcomes, and then how much were kind of surprises like the CPG side? How much of it was going in and thinking one thing and then another thing pleasantly happens, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you, like when we're doing the sizing, we still do this for planning and all that. The world of media is huge.
Sure.
Retail media specifically is exploding. We have this unique thing that hasn't existed before. So it's very hard not to say $30 billion opportunity.
Right.
Well, how many SMB advertisers, how many of these things that we wouldn't bother with? Like, so that's the thing that we're constantly trying to refine our forecasting and our 5-year opportunity is we're the only ones doing this. There's no other SMB-based audience network using first-party audience data. And every day that we have an advertiser come in, there's some large advertisers that have really deep pockets and like that. This is what we have for SMBs, and we have the CPGs that we never thought about. That's what they have. So like we're just learning as we go, and we're trying to figure out like what is the opportunity.
It's good. It's good when you know there's a lot out there, right?
Yeah.
What where is this going? I know you were telling me in some of the conversations you had, you truly are leading in this space. So kind of what's the next level, or where do you see things going over the next few years in Media Labs?
Yeah, and I'll say accidentally leading is kind of part of it because
Give yourself more credit for that.
well, I think that we have principles about privacy and transparency and all that. The reason I say accidental is because they don't operate.
Sure.
We didn't want to have one. Not to say that we want to support at one point, but one of my colleagues and I spoke at the Adweek Summit, the Retail Media Summit in Great Mall, America, which is very, very on brand for the conversation. But the theme of it was really about how retail media networks think about their audiences and not just that last version of it, but more so how do they use their audiences to go off-site and build campaigns that are full funnel. That's where we're going right now, and we've had some great partnership with some of our media partners that they know that's where a lot of retail networks are going to go, but they're building products and use cases for us. So that's the next sort of, I guess, frontier for us right now is how do we set the example and how do we sort of show the way that you can go off-site and develop a full funnel campaign. We have advertisers that are doing strictly awareness and consideration. We have some that are very much lower funnel CPA driven. And that's, I feel like that's kind of the next wave of retail media is audience media. Sure. That's kind of where we're at now. And then, ironically, we're going to start thinking about what is our offering. Is there a way to, product know and recommend better products or services if they're overpaying for renewals? How do we do something on an operator that's not just an ad, but it's actually beneficial and drives value for our customers?
Awesome. Outside of everything you're working on, are there any other, general to the crowd, any other marketing trends, any other things in 2024 that you have an eye on or that you are focused on or interested in?
Could be deprecations, obviously, at the top line. I'm going to put on the other hat now for this.
Yeah.
The growth marketer for books.
And feel free to talk about that too.
Yeah, quick deprecation is one, and that's we had this question yesterday about how does this affect what you're building. And the nice thing is that we're using LiveRamp as our identity solution, so it's not cookie-based, so it actually kind of makes us a little bit more resilient. On the other side of this, it does customer anxiety. I think contextual marketing, data marketing, understanding if you don't know the person, at least you understand the type of content that they're consuming, and you can make judgment calls about what's the right creative, what's the right message that's applicable to that person, or if that's the right person it's at all. I think contextual marketing is going to be really huge. I think sometimes in a T or in a good spot where it's go away. It's either you know nothing or you know the type of content that they're working with. They're able to build campaigns around that and not the person.
Yeah. Awesome. Any questions from the crowd? Anybody have any questions about anything we discussed? Throw it out there.
Anyone want to buy media? Anyone want to CDs?
Awesome. One in the back, sure.
Curious about, because SMBs tend to not have the resources to create excellent content.
Yep.
I was curious about the sort of content that you're seeing coming in through your network, and if you have any sort of tools to help SMBs improve what they're putting out there. Because obviously your reach is great, your audiences are great, but the quality of the content's important as well.
Yeah, so just to clarify, so our advertisers are enterprise advertisers. So we've got CPG, we've got, so our target is our SMB customers, so they're not the ones developing the content. We are looking at how we actually have this be something that our customers can use to advertise to each other, which is something that is out on the front of the horizon. But for this one, it's very much, again, I'll use just like an example from my days with the CPG brand. You've got things like you've got this huge brand campaign that talks very much around pet smells, whatever that may be. There's an entirely new way you can talk about your brand, about concentrates, about buying people, those types of things. That it's what we're seeing a lot of interest in how they can actually think about content that's different than their core value proposition that they spray and pray on like the major broadcasts or whatever that may be. Because you're talking to a small business owner, so you can talk very specific about a different value prop that is already out there. Because a lot of these brands that we're talking to, talk about awareness, unaided, or they're kind of the leaders in the space, so there's not a lot of additional runway, and they're saying not only doing more run, it's a completely different airfield that you move on. It's a very bad analogy. Thanks.
Yeah.
Dave, without transaction data, like if you're a grocery store or a retailer, like that, how are you handling measurement for your marketing?
Yeah, so because we're buying, like, for lack of a better term, we're kind of an agency in a way that has very proprietary audience group that we can tap into. We'll pixel it, and they can follow. They have their own analytics that they can do. We also have a lot of our partners do A/B testing, and a big part of it is also the geos that companies do. So geo testing. There's lots of different ways, and we also have some advertisers that do brand and do regular studies. So kind of really just traditional measurement. So if they've got pixels on their side or pixels on the data, they can actually track it within their attribution and monitor all of that.
So, anyone? One more, I think. Do we see another hand or no? Awesome. Well, I will quickly give you a shameless plug here for Everfi. For Blackbaud, you may or may not be familiar with our company. We're a social good tech company. We build solutions to be able to help organizations measure volunteering, giving, donations, grant raising. Our platform powers billions of dollars annually in corporate giving. And we also partner with organizations on initiatives around community engagement and education. We work with great companies like the NFL, Major League Baseball, Intuit, TurboTax. Yeah, TurboTax, to be able to provide critical life skill education to kids at scale around things like financial literacy, mental health, career readiness. One of the great things about being able to have this discussion is Intuit TurboTax, a great partner of Everfi. We built a tax software for high school kids. I don't know, how many of you learned how to do your taxes in high school or balance a checkbook? Yeah, no, I know, isn't that weird? Right? But we built a great program and have reached 1.5 million students over the last 2 years, providing critical skills that are missing in traditional schooling. So great partners like this help us power our ecosystem of good, and appreciate you being here. Dave, any final thoughts before we jump out of here?
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, everybody.